Jared Jenish, a librarian at the Howe Library in Hanover, New Hampshire. Today we have an art project to share with you. We will be making abstract paintings using watercolor and tape. It's a fun and interesting way to create new patterns and designs, and is a very easy way to generate new art. You will need several things for this. You'll need, of course, some watercolors. 3 or 4 colors is plenty. You will need some kind of paper. Watercolor paper is ideal, but any kind of paper that's thicker than printer paper will work just fine. You'll need tape. You can use masking tape. If you have this kind of blue colored painter's tape, that's even better. You'll need a paintbrush, you'll need a couple of jars for water, and that's about it. This video is quite short. There are parts of it I've sped up to make it very quick to watch, and I would recommend watching the whole thing through from the beginning to the end without interruption, just to see how the project works, and then you can go back to the beginning and start again and pause it whenever you're at that part of the project. We hope you enjoy it. Here we go. So here we have the beginning of our project. I've taken watercolor paper and I've taped it down to a surface that can be easily cleaned, in this case a kitchen counter. I'm using painter's tape here, this blue tape. You can also use masking tape. If you happen to have any painter's tape around, it's really ideal because it's meant for this purpose, although in painting the interior of houses. But masking tape should work as well. And what I'm doing here is just laying out strips of tape across the watercolor paper in any pattern that appeals to me. Each time I lay it down, I'm pressing down on the tape to make sure that it's sealed to the paper, but not too hard either, because I want to be able to pull it up fairly easily afterwards. I'm going to speed things up here, but you can see that I'm just creating a pattern that I enjoy. It can be anything at all. It can be abstract, you can attempt to represent something, but you want to end up with enclosed spaces. So at the end, you will put a border of tape around the edge and end up with something like this. I'm going to start a second project too, and this one I'm going to do a little bit differently. I'm going to start by taping the border, which I think is a better idea. And I'm going to speed things up and whip down those borders fast and then proceed to the pattern I'm going to create, which in this case will be a little bit more grid-like rather than crossing lines and angles, just to experiment with something a little bit different. Once I lay down a little bit of a grid, I will probably also start putting in some cross lines at angles just to keep it interesting. And I will eventually end up with something like this. So here is project number 2. Once everything is taped down, we will need paint. Here is a palette. You can use a number of different things for this. You can use little cups. You can use a plastic egg carton as perfect with all of the little egg pockets serving as paint holders. And here I'm squeezing in some paint. Red, yellow, purple, and blue. I'm going to start by painting project number 2. And I have a couple of jars of water, a paintbrush, and my palette of paints. And I'm going to take the watercolor paints and I'm going to make them fairly wet. I'm going to dip in a lot of water and mix it into the little paint pockets because I want to end up with kind of washes that are very easy to spread around. And at this point, you can do anything. You can paint inside the lines. You can paint across the lines. You can mix 2 colors in one block. I have blue here. I'm going to add in a little bit of purple because I want to blend them together in interesting ways. This way I'm going to start with purple and make it dark. Here's red mixed with purple. Throw in a little yellow. Fill in the middle with orange, which is red mixed with yellow. And voila, here I am, done. There are a few places that are very wet, so I'm going to dab out a little bit of the extra water and paint with a paper towel, which will give it a kind of a textured look. Here is project number 1, and the paint is now dry. So now the really fun bit, you get to start peeling back the tape and seeing what kind of patterns emerge. And of course you want to do it in the opposite order in which you put the tape down so it doesn't get all tangled up. And this is my favorite bit because I just love watching the product emerge as the tape comes up. And we'll speed things up a little bit and we'll whip all that tape off, and here we are with the last 2 bits holding it down. We peel those up and here we have our finished project. You can see that on this one on the right hand side I didn't seal the tape well enough, so a little bit of paint crept underneath it, but that's okay. It just changes the effect a little bit. Here is the other project. We're going to literally watch the paint dry on this one. This is about 15 minutes worth of drying time, and now I'm peeling up the tape on this one as well. This is the one with all the cross angles. I think I actually like this pattern better than the more grid-based one. I like how organic it is. It's just really visually interesting to me. And once we get all the tape peeled up and off, we end up with our final product. Here is project number 2 with a grid. Here is project number 1, all random angles. And I really like them both. I'm going to share a few places that I especially like on them, a few patches of paint that I really enjoy. This bubbles of purple and blue, I love that. There's another place where the orange bleeds into the purple. This is the kind of effect that I go for, but I don't always get it. And I think possibly this little rectangle is my favorite part of either painting. Well, that was our art project for the day. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you join us again sometime. Thanks for watching.